Good evening and welcome to tonight's Monday night panel stroke on the sofa. Chris is taking a well-deserved break in darkest Wales, so you're going to have to put up with me as the host tonight. We've got a two-part evening. We have some erudite guests on later on to discuss that game on Saturday. But before we do that, we've got Neil Hutchins with us, who is chairman of the Swindon Town Football Club Trust. And he's here to talk all things joint venture following the release of the publication of the document for the Darn Rogers stand changes. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'll bring Vic on. We do have some announcements. He has some announcements and I do too. Good evening, Vic. How are you?
I'm all right. Very good evening to you from darkest Devon when it's raining, cats and whatsits, and any fellow hay fever sufferers. You have my deepest sympathies today. Right, let's talk about Grimsby away on Friday. Good Friday, of course. There are plenty of seats left. This is from Saturday. There are plenty of seats left. £37 for members, £39 for non-members. It's a 7:45 a.m. away from the county ground. And then on the 26th of April, our last away game of the season, Gillingham, of course, few seats left, 10 o'clock a.m. away, £22 for members, £24 for non-members. Apart from that game over the weekend, there was plenty of other bits of action. In the Youth Alliance League, George Alston's goal gave Swindon a 1-0 win over Bromley. We could do with that on Easter Monday, I think, a similar scoreline. And then in the Wiltshire Women's County Cup, congratulations to Swindon Town's women. Back-to-back wins for them. They beat Purton 7-0 at Melksham yesterday. The goals from Mia Mugford, 2 for Libby Davis. Libby Whalen scored, Annie Colton got 2, and Alice Seddon also scored. So well done to them. Congratulations. Back-to-back wins in the Wiltshire County Cup.
Okay, thank you for that. I've just got a couple of announcements before we start tonight. It's going to be quite a busy time coming up. The first event, 29th of April, of course, is the end of season dinner, which we arrange. There's still places available if you'd like to go onto our website and be able to book. That is a 6:30 start. Then on the 1st of May, there's the Fans Forum, which is in the Legends Lounge, as is obviously the end of season dinner. And that is starts at 7 p.m. Again, if you'd like to attend that, go onto our website and you'll be able to purchase a ticket. On the 3rd of May, the Swindon Cricket Club will be doing their league game. And they have they arrange for sort of a bit of live music, and it's just generally a really nice way to sort of finish our season. And you can pop on there and support them. And we'll be running a raffle in aid of our charity of the year. And then last but not least, on Sunday, May the 4th, the following day, we have our second memorabilia fair in the Legends Lounge. Where we will be selling all things Swindon and non-Swindon. We have a number of people that run tables. If table, it's only a time, but come along, and all the proceeds go to our charity of the year. Incidentally, if you do have anything that you would like to donate for that, please get in touch with us through our normal channels. But also, if you have anything that you'd like to drop in, please, we'll be at our normal table on the home games that are left, which is obviously Easter Monday versus Bromley, and the final game of the season, which is the day before on May 3rd. Okay. Right, without further ado, let's get Neil on tonight, and we can then start talking all things joint venture. Thank you. Maybe not Declan.
Well, Declan will be with us later.
Declan will be with us in a minute. He's busy waiting for Shamrock Roses to start. Yes. Yeah, apologies. Good evening, Neil. How are you? That scared Declan. He thought he was chairman of the trust for a minute. Yeah.
Evening, Andy. Evening, Vic. Yes, I'm very well, thanks. It's good to be with you tonight.
Good. Right, I'll leave you two to it, and off you go.
Neil, thanks very much indeed for joining us this evening. Obviously, the plans were released today. You've obviously sort of had a bit of advance notice on the mechanics of this. And the mechanics of this is what we really want to get to straight away. There are specific questions, as you'll be aware, about this project, which I'll ask. I'm not sure how much you can say, but let's talk about the mechanics first and foremost. Those who are going to be displaced have already received a letter. The brochure has been released today via the town website. What is the process now? What happens?
So I think it's really helpful for us to be able to explain tonight what we think is going to happen over the next few weeks. So as you said, the club released their redevelopment plans for the Don Model stand today. It's a document that we've seen a couple of drafts of over the last couple of weeks. It's something that the architect, David Anderson, I think has to be said, has done a really good professional job on. We've met him a couple of times. We've had the opportunity to learn about their thinking and the process they've gone through. And it's good to see that finally out in the public domain today. So that starts a 3-week period of consultation. So the idea of the consultation process is it's an opportunity for the community, supporters, trust members, everybody who's got a love of football or would be impacted by this, to have their say in what's been proposed by the club. So it's not the final set of plans. It's not at this stage something that's going to be voted on yet. It's an opportunity for everybody to feed back to the club their thoughts, their opinions, whether it's good, bad, whether there's things that need changing or there's things that need taking out. So that consultation forms 2 parts. The club have already announced that I think it's Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, they're going to be running a number of consultation sessions in person in the Legends Lounge. And that'll be hosted by the architects together with senior members of the club to actually talk people through what they've seen in that document today, to talk about the impact on existing season ticket holders and to answer any questions that they may have. So that's 4 sessions over 2 days. You need to reserve your place though. There's limited places at each of those events, and the details for all of that on the club website. In addition to that, the trust has launched a consultation questionnaire today. Those details are on our website. We've emailed it out to everybody on our subscription list. I think the OSC are going to email that out to all of its members, and there'll also be paper copies for those who would rather fill that out on paper. There'll be copies in the Legends Lounge on the OSC table for the next couple of home games. So at the end of that 3-week process, all of the information that's collected will be put together. We'll share all of that raw data and more information with the club. The trust will then pull together a summary pack of all of that, and we'll share that with members, with supporters, with anybody who's interested in what's been said. So that's the consultation stage. After that,
the voting stage. I mean,
there's a bit before that, Vic.
Oh, there's a bit before that. Okay, off you go.
So the bit before that is that the club will then look at all of that feedback, and they'll then decide if there's anything in their proposals that they want to change. Right. And that's in their gift. So that might take a few days, it might take a few weeks. That's the bit that we're not really sure how long that'll take. But then we get into the formalities, and the club will then approach the joint venture board, and they will present their final version of that pack to the joint venture board. And it's at that point they'll formally ask for consent to submit a planning application and to go ahead with the redevelopment based on those concepts. Under the JV rules and under the trust rules, because the trust owns 50% of the stadium, and which effectively is the landlord, the trust members will then be asked to vote on whether they support that final proposal. And then depending on the outcome of that vote, consent will either be given or not, and then we go from there. So right. People have already asked whether this is the vote that starts today. It isn't. Today is the consultation feedback stage rather than the vote itself.
So what happens then in terms of the vote? Is it a 3-way split in terms of the vote, in terms of the club has to say, Nigel Eady has a say, the trust has a say? Do they have an equal say in the outcome, or does the vote of the trust members decide whether this goes ahead or not?
So in the joint venture agreement, there's a list of events that we could foresee when we negotiated the contract 2 years ago now, I guess, 2.5 years ago. And one of the items on that list is redevelopment. So if there's any redevelopment of the stadium proposed by the club, then the shareholders of the joint venture, which is 50% owned by the club and 50% owned by the trust, then have to unanimously agree to proceed. So naturally, the club will consent because they're asking for that consent in the first place. So the other half is the trust. So although the ED trustees have directors on the board itself, it's the shareholders in the joint venture that get to say whether or not this proceeds. And we can go through that loop a number of times. It's not one vote and it's dead. The club could come back and say, okay, we're going to change this, we're going to change that. What will your members say then? But it's a 50-50 joint share ownership and both sides have to agree.
Right. Let me read you this because this is from George and he sent this email in and I think he kind of encapsulates what a lot of people think about this. What happens if the vote goes against the plans? And there are a lot of people who won't vote for it because they have no confidence in the current hierarchy. They'll then be in a situation of trying to resolve the issues and are very rapidly running out of time, which is a potential recipe for disaster, George says. So if the vote from the trust members goes against it, is it back to square one? What happens then?
Yeah, so I think what I would say before that, Vic, is that the other part of consultation is that it will give the club an idea as to the mood music. Is it generally getting good support? Is it not getting good support? Are there particular elements of it that people don't like? We'll talk, no doubt, in a moment about some of the kind of feedback we've had so far. But the consultation process is an opportunity for the club to listen as well. So I would hope that if the consultation feedback isn't great and the mood music isn't great, that the club would listen to that and try and address whatever it is that's concerning people. If they don't listen and if they don't address those concerns and the vote fails, then there shouldn't be any surprise because I'd imagine the vote will probably align to the feedback that's provided one way or the other. So I would hope we wouldn't get to a position where the club are asking for a vote on something that would fail. But if were that to happen and were the vote to fail, it would go back to the JV board. The trust directors, of which there's two of us that sit on the JV board, are tied to whatever decision the members vote on. So if the members say no, the two JV board directors have to follow that. And then we would get into what are the reasons for that. Are the reasons recoverable? Is it about the project, the design? Is it about the money? What are the reasons why it failed? But I would hope we wouldn't get to that point because the consultation is likely to tell us what those concerns are, if there are any.
Much of the concern, of course, is over money and how this thing is funded, the business plan, all that kind of stuff, how long it will take. For instance, Kevin says, how long will this go on for, years or months? And of course, the displacement factor. You know as well as I do, as a football fan of long standing, you sit in your seat, you've been there for years and years, you have a group of people around you that you've known for a long time. It is an emotional thing. These are the kind of big issues so far, aren't they? And of course, the fact, why aren't they developing a Stratton Bank first rather than the Don Rogers? What have you got to say about those? I'm not sure what you can and can't say really at this moment.
Yeah, so what I would say is that I think it's right that this is going to be quite an emotive subject that people are going to be talking about for all the reasons you've just given there, Vic. I mean, myself and the trust secretary are both in the situation. We both sit in the blocks which are impacted by this. Chris has sat in those seats since the very first game when the stadium opened with his family. So he's probably sat there for 30 years. I've been in mine for 25 years. So it will be quite an emotive topic. I think it's important that during the consultation period, that supporters are given the opportunity to share their own views, uninfluenced, without any political conversations and noise or anything else going around the edges. The trust board saw the presentation pack for the first time yesterday. We've not met yet, and we've said that we will form an opinion, but we won't share that publicly until the end of the consultation period. I think that's important. So that doesn't mean that we support it. It doesn't mean we're against it. What it means is that we're going to sit quietly, we're going to let the debate continue, we're going to let people share their own honest opinions, and then at the end of the consultation, we'll give a considered opinion from the board. In terms of the concerns, though, I mean, I think there's four kind of key themes we're hearing back already. I think the actual design and the concept, a lot of people are very impressed with. Without a doubt, the Don Rogers stand, as the whole stadium does, it it needs better public facilities, the toilets, running water, things like that need to take a step up. I think we're disappointed that there's no reference in what we've seen today of improvements to facilities in the town end or in the Arkles, because the toilets and the facilities in those two stands are probably worse than they are in the Don Rogers. So I think that's something that needs to be addressed. So I think the whole idea about whether this is the right design and the right concept and the right stand is one area that we're hearing a lot about. I think the other is the second is the season ticket issue. The plans are to alter the seats for about 1,100 seats in the Don Rogers stand, and 815 of those are current season ticket holders. I mean, that's probably 20 to 25% of the season ticket holders that the club has. And that's a big number of probably some of the best seats in the house. So I think that is definitely going to be a concern to a lot of people. Some people will be quite pragmatic about that and say this is a cost of change. Others have sat there their entire lives, and again, myself included. Me and my dad used to go to football, and we lost him 15 years ago. And 3 days after my son was born, we transferred my dad's season ticket into his name. And Aidan's had that season ticket ever since. There will be lots of stories about lots of memories and lots of family ties to those seats. Again, very emotive. I think the third thing is all about cost and who's paying and where that money is coming from, and is it going to be borrowed? Are the boxes going to be priced at a level that people are going to use them? So I think there's a whole piece around that. And then unfortunately, we can't escape the fact there's a not insignificant number of people who continually approach us, who are concerned about the trust in the ownership and the leadership of the club, and whether this is the right development at the wrong time with the wrong people. And that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. That's something that's been kicking around for a year or two now. So when you put all those four things together, there's a lot there that people are going to be thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, I'll read you some of the comments that have come in. This is from Roman. I think it's a good scheme. More people like to take up hospitality options for a matchday experience that will bring in good money. Sean says, looks fantastic. Sorry, not holding my breath, though. Gordon says, got my place reserved already, including options for a new seat. Again, Kevin says, how long will this go on for, years or months? Stephen says, when will the business plan be available? And I think people want to know. I mean, those with long memories will remember the Arkle stand and what a millstone that was for many years. And that was a relatively small amount of money in terms of today. This thing has to be paid for. So that is a lot of people's concern. Do you have any idea of the business plan?
No, is the honest answer. We've asked the question during the process we've just gone through in the last few weeks. The club know it's going to be a question that's going to be asked a lot. We've set up a dedicated email address, stadium@truststfc.com, where we're inviting people to ask any questions they've got. If we've got the answer, we'll provide a response on a frequently asked questions page on the website, and any that we don't have the answer to, we'll pass to the club. We've got about 20 questions to send over to the club already, and that is a repeating theme. People want to know where the money is coming from, how much it's going to cost. We're on the record as saying we're already concerned about the level of debt that's owed to the owner, and where it's not an unreasonable question where this money is coming from and what it'll cost us. So I think that's something that the club will need to get into to kind of calm some of those nerves as to where that's coming from.
Okay, early days. I'm sure we'll discuss about this before, but this is from Darren. Sort the disgraceful toilets out in every stand. They're not fit for animals. Just looked at the concepts. Looks really good. 3 levels of activity. Good use of the space we have, especially coming outwards. There's been no mention of business plan for what revenue they expect this project to deliver. I was in Don Rogers for years from new build. You do get used to a new area. And if you want an omelette, says Anthony, you need to break some eggs. Fact. Fans moaning, bored, not doing anything, then moan when they do something. You can't win. I mean, hot water's been mentioned in the Don Rogers, which is, as you know, a thorny subject. We'll wrap this up because we've got a little game to sort of discuss about as well, which I think is one that we need to spend some time on. But where we're at the minute is just consultation. Everybody has a chance to put forward their views. You want those views, whatever they are. And I think what we also want, Neil, is a sensible debate, don't we? We don't want name calling. We don't want any of that. We want a sensible debate. Everybody gets to put their view forward. The club knows how they feel, and then they have to act on how they feel. I think that's a fair summing up, is it not?
I think so. I don't think anybody would have any sympathy for the club if they brought something for a vote that a large group of people have provided negative feedback on. I know that there are people who are strongly against this, and equally we've had a lot of emails and notes today from people saying they're in support of it as well. So it will be an emotive subject. All I can do is kind of suggest two things right now. One is contribute. If you don't share your voice, if you don't tell people what you think, whether that's to us or to the club directly, then they're not going to know what you think. So I think that'd be the first thing. The second thing I would say is that only paid up trust members will be able to vote. It's in our society rules. The trust owns the asset, or 50% of the asset. So to vote, you will need to be a trust member. Right now, you can still join up, and there's still enough time for you to be a voting member. But that window will close, and we'll advertise that probably towards the end of April as to when you need to sign up by. But if you're not a member of the trust, you won't be able to vote. So again, if you want to have your say, whether that's really positive in support or whether you're really against it or anywhere in between, if you're not a trust member, you won't be able to vote.
Okay. This is from Paul, and then we will wrap it up. I've got another comment. Have the club ever made any suggestions as to development as the rest of the stadium? Is this stage one, or is that it?
So I think, so the answer to that is yes, there have been conversations about development in other parts of the stadium. I've seen lots online about why we're not doing the Stratton Bank and why not the town end, which are all in desperate need. I think one thing that the trust recognises is that to be a sustainable club, you've got to drive additional revenues. Putting a roof on the Stratton Bank would cost money, but may not necessarily drive additional revenues. So we do recognise that there's a bit of a priority order that from a supporter's perspective may not align with a revenue perspective. And I think that's one of the things that as a trust, we need to see that bigger picture, that as much as we'd love to see better facilities in all three stands and get the bank back open again, my real concern personally is about the levels of debt in the club. And you don't have to look too far down the M4 to see the mess that Reading have got into. We can do something about that now before we get into that position. So that's not me saying that the Don Rogers development as proposed is perfect and everybody should get behind it. I'm not saying that. But I think we do need to recognise that if we want the club to become more sustainable, they've got to find ways of driving revenue 7 days a week.
And of course, a point I was going to make. I mean, there are conference facilities in this, aren't there, which they don't have at the minute. And a lot of football clubs do make money out of conferences, don't they? So that's one example, I guess.
They do. And the architect's gone to great lengths to try and create the best space possible for that. But then do executive boxes fit into that? Do you need the executive boxes to be a 7-day-a-week operation? So I think there's lots of different permutations and where you can slice and dice this. But if we don't want to be a Reading, if we don't want to be other clubs who are loaded up with debt, we've got to find ways of driving additional revenue. I think some of that can come from schemes like this, but equally the club need to re-engage with disenfranchised supporters who have drifted away over the last couple of years. The quality of football will help that, and I'm sure games like Saturday should hopefully draw a few more back in through the door. And no doubt we'll talk about that now.
We will. Thank you very much, Steve, for that, Neil. I'll just read out some more comments and then we'll get on to that game because there's a heck of a lot to talk about. Hi, Ivor. You talk about people not happy about having to move seats in the Don Rogers. Did they complain when they stood in the same place in the old Shrivenham Road and got moved to a new place in the Don Rogers? Hi, Stephen. I'm liking what I see. I worry if it will bring in additional income, new income, to help the club's operations and cover the cost to improve the ground. This is from Jason. If you sign up to the trust by the 5th of May, you, along with existing members, will be entered into a free draw to win one of 4 signed shirts. Is that right?
It's true, yeah. So the trust sponsor 3 players. We were at the sponsors' evening last week, very well hosted by your good self, Vic. And and we'll be putting those the 4 shirts that we'll get at the end of the season, signed from our players, into a membership raffle, and you could be one of those, but only if you're a member.
Okay, lovely. And this is from Colin. He says, we're nothing like Reading. There's no comparison. So we'll draw a line on it for the moment, because we're going to be talking about this a lot, I'm guessing, over the next few weeks. So we appreciate your time, Neil. The consultation process is up and running. If you are affected, you have a chance to go in and see how you book your place at these consultations, and you can talk to the architects direct. So I think if you are affected by this, you must do that and find out as much information as possible. Information is key, I think it's fair to say. Neil, thank you very much indeed. I know you're going to stay on and talk about that football match. So I think, Andy, if we can get the rest of the panel on, that'd be great.
Yeah, certainly can. Yeah, that football match. I'd just like to make a comment. Someone that sits with me very regularly chose to go and watch Gloucestershire play on Saturday, so more for him. What did he?
Why would you do that? Well, the way Somerset are going, possibly. Yes. Anyway,
so we've got Declan, Anna, Rob, and Liam. No, we're not allowed to talk about cricket today. There we go. I'll leave you to it.
Lovely. Thank you. We're going to come to Declan first, because he's got a football match to go to in half an hour. So he's been sitting in his car patiently. Declan, a quick comment on the stand, then we'll move to the football. What's your comment on the redevelopment? Have you got one?
Yeah, well, fair play to Noel. Very concise information there passed. My own view is that it's the classic chicken and egg situation, really, isn't it? For me, personally, it's about the team on the pitch being successful. If you've got a successful team, you drive revenue streams, and you can be more creative in your thinking. At the moment, what I'm hearing from the club in relation to budgets for next season, allocation of playing budget supposedly going into pitch maintenance, or whatever way you want to call it, that's a little bit concerning. To give Ian Holloway less money to be able to spend next year than what he's got now and expect a different result doesn't sit easy with me. So I think you've got to start with the baby steps. Of course, we want to see a modern county ground. We want to see a county ground that we can be have pride in bringing guests. I'm bringing a guest from Bromley on Monday. I don't know what he's going to encounter when he gets there, to be honest with you. But hopefully, we can look forward. We can be at a level where such an idea is sustainable. Personally speaking, I don't think it's sustainable at the moment at our level. But that's just a personal point of view, and I wouldn't want to try and influence anybody else's thinking on it either.
Okay, what about your view on this then? Let me run through the statistics, and then we'll get your view on your 90 minutes plus entertainment. Swindon Town 5, Bradford City 4. A Niall Byrne own goal on 22. These are the Town goals on 22 minutes. Kabongo Shimango on 45 plus 4. Harry Smith on 62 and 90. Took him to 17 goals for the season. Jack Shepherd, 90 plus 5 own goal. Oh, how lovely that was. And Bradford City, Callum Kavanagh, an unfortunate player who got a hat-trick and finished on the losing side on 6, on 10, on 35 minutes, and Brad Halliday on 77. The assist for Swindon, Ollie Clark on 45 plus 4, Botan Armin on 62, George Cox on 90. Brad Halliday had an assist as well for Bradford. But very importantly, a red card for Richie Smallwood on 14 minutes. The attendance, 8,051. Declan, your view on that magnificent madness?
Yeah, I was just looking at some stats today. I think that's the 4th time, is it, since New Year's Day, we've been involved in a home game where there's been 90 minutes plus winners against a team that had 10 players. At 2-0 down last Saturday, like on some other occasions this season, you're seriously questioning your sanity. But by the end of the game, you're floating on cloud 9 and you think you've got the best football team on the planet. It was really, really fantastic. A great finish to the game, and well-deserved 3 points for the boys. I thought they thoroughly deserved it overall for their battling performance. And hopefully we can see more of that over the course of Easter against Grimsby on Friday, and of course at home to Bromley on Monday. But unforgettable, yeah, it's certainly up there. One of the best games I've ever seen. One of the craziest games I've ever seen. I think more so than one of the best games. But yeah, it was a really fantastic feeling walking out of the ground on Saturday afternoon to enjoy the sunshine.
It was ironically, I think, on the same day as the 6-4 win at Birmingham I saw today, which is extraordinary, isn't it? And I mean, I don't know, really. I mean, you come away from that thinking Sheffield United and the playoffs springs to mind. It's that sort of game, wasn't it? And there's the picture, of course, of our players surrounding the own goal scorer, Jack Shepherd. I don't think there's a Swindon fan alive who thought that was bad sportsmanship. Didn't we all rather enjoy that?
Oh, I think there was a bit of a comment afterwards from Holloway, wasn't there, about remaining dignified? But you do reap a little bit what you sow, and we know that there was there was a lot going on during the game, wasn't there? What with the fistfuls of Harry Smith's shirt being captured on camera, and the tackle on Glatzel, and so, and the time wasting. So you kind of feel that it was justified in the end. But yeah, just thinking back to that Birmingham game, wow, yeah, I can't believe that was the same day. And as you know, Vic, my prediction for Saturday was 4-4, so I wasn't far off. But
yeah.
when it got to 4-4, it could still have swung either way, couldn't it? Really, I mean, our defending for their 4 goals was shambolic, not to say the least, wasn't it? Particularly for those that were from the long throws. But we more than made up for it, and we're just a team now that we don't look beaten. We don't look beaten when we are beaten. I mean, to be 2-0 down, 3-1 down, 4-3 down, and still come back to snatch it, and the devastation on their players' faces as that last minute own goal winning. It's a fantastic feeling, and as Holloway again said, if you come out winners in that kind of game, you love it. If you come out the losers, it's so painful. It's so painful. But what a fantastic game. And, people come down to the county ground and watch this madness unfold week after week. That's what I would recommend.
And it is week after week. It is. I just think, late goals, what's not to like? This is from John, who's background judging again. And bearing in mind last week, I will not be silenced this week. And my background last week were undoubtedly the best ever. And the regime didn't like it. Driving me to tobacco, don't smoke, kids. Well, you did, John. Normally good, that's mine. But this week it looks like a pile of washing. Well, I can kind of see what he means, but, Andy better than normal. Oh, well, fair enough. Rob ditto. Declan wearing the badge well. Liam potentially interesting shelves. Anna could do better. No comment about... Oh, Neil as Anna. Oh, that's a bit unfair. And Saturday was very funny, says John. So there you are. The judgment's in. I got the new kit behind me, which arrived on Saturday. Too late to bring to the game on Saturday, Rob. But I thought, the kit was magnificent. The game was magnificent. The finish was magnificent. The weather was great. What's not to like?
I was just going to say, I usually get one-word comments from John. Ditto is not usually what I get, so I'll take it. Yeah, I mean, where'd you start with a game like that? I mean, if you ever wanted to take somebody to a football match and say, this is what pure entertainment looks like, you take them to that game, don't you? Or you show them a video of that. For it to happen 32 years to the day from the best comeback I've ever seen and probably ever will see with that 6-4 game at Birmingham, which will never be forgotten from everybody who was there. But as Anna just pointed out, the fact that we were behind 3 times, we can't lose sight of the fact that if Smallwood doesn't get sent off so early, Bradford probably do go on and win quite comfortably because they were very comfortable in the game at that point in time. But that's his own fault. We can't legislate for their own stupidity, and it's his stupidity that's cost his team. And ultimately, you've still got to fight back. You've still got to put the effort in for those 75 minutes or however many 85 it was with the extra stoppage time and whatnot. You've still got to make it happen. And the defending was shocking. It really was. There was some. How many teams have ever lost to conceded goals to 3 long throw-ins before now? I don't think it's ever happened before to anybody. For it to happen 3 times in the same game, unbelievably bad defending. But who cares when you've won 5-4? You forget about all the stuff that's gone wrong because all you focus on is that little picture of Harry Smith standing over a crestfallen Bradford defender and think, yes, that's exactly what we want to see on a Saturday afternoon. Fantastic.
Yeah, it was. It was an amazing moment. And poetic justice, I think it's fair to
Totally.
say. Yeah, Liam, we won on possession as well. Swindon 73.3%, Bradford 26.7%, which is surprising. Shots, Swindon 27, Bradford 9. On target, Swindon 12, Bradford 6. I mean, that's extraordinary statistics, isn't it? Bearing in mind they looked so comfortable when they started off.
Absolutely. A couple of things to add to this. This is for John, by the way. We heard this 5 times on Saturday.
Yes, we did.
Answers we're going overtime. Couple of things to add to this, really. After the game, I listened to Andrew Hawes's commentary back, the highlights. What is it? He called it delicious mayhem.
Yes.
I mean, Andrew's commentary, what I've heard of it since, that was delicious as well. And that was brilliant. And it covered all the madness of it. That guy Halliday, he could have had 4 assists because the Kavanagh should have got another goal, shouldn't he? In the second half. From Halliday's throw-ins, and then of course Halliday scored himself. The defending was absolutely shocking. We had the possession, and the biggest own goal was their captain getting sent off, wasn't it, after 12-13 minutes? And that really galvanised us. I mean, we should have got a goal, shouldn't we, from Kinsella, shouldn't we, earlier? It could have been 2-1 before the sending off. But just that fight and that determination was brilliant. And that's the second time in a month we beat the top of the table team.
Yes.
We wouldn't have said that last early December after Colchester, would we? So that's how wonderful this is at the moment. And can I just add one thing, really? Because Neil, you're absolutely right. That's about galvanising us, and Declan said the same about bringing us together. And I'm going to add your bit, really. Is it you've said over 800 people are going to get potentially moved if this happens? Well, a number of us all sit together. I'm one of those that's affected. I know Anna is, and Mark is affected as well. And I think one of the things we get in a really big sense of community with Swindon is from August to May, every year, we meet our friends and then we drift away and we don't see them again until the August. And we've got together as a community because of that. And I just want the club, if it happens, to look a bit more at making sure that we can keep those communities together, those friendships together. And it's quite right what people said earlier about, well, we've moved before when they built the Don Rogers and got rid of Shrivey Road and everything else. But just take into account that there's friendships here and networks that actually on Saturday were hugging each other and jumping together and tears of joy virtually. Certainly was when it was Sheffield United 5-5, wasn't it?
Oh.
Which is just as potty and crazy. And so I just want us to take that into account to the future stuff. And Neil, I've already commented on that in my feedback to the trust and completed that. It's about community and friendships that's key in this point as well.
Yeah, well said, Liam. By the way, this is from Caroline. Hi, Caroline. £60 will be donated from the Junior Reds for the Derby Rimmer raffle shirt. Thanks to everyone. Amazing cause. And actually, I'd just like to pay tribute to both sets of fans, actually, for the way they backed that on Saturday. It was fabulous. And that's what football's about, isn't it? I mean, the Derby Rimmer Foundation, as we know, very close to our heart. And we wish Stephen Darby and his family all the very best at a very tough time. Right, Neil, let's take off your trust hat. Let's put on your football fans hat. How sane were you at around about 2:45 on Saturday?
It's strange. After the red card and how we reacted to that, I was always confident we were going to win it. Even when we were kind of chasing the equaliser for the second time or the third time, I forget where we were at that stage. But and I don't think I'd have said that 2 months ago, 3 months ago. It's incredible how your belief and confidence in these guys, which, let's be honest, with the exception of 2 or 3 players, it's the same group of players that we started with back last August. So yeah, I mean, it's fantastic stuff. I think the thing, we talk about referees very often when they're going against us. I thought he had a pretty decent game. I think it was a clear red card. I know that a lot of their supporters have been complaining about it, but from where we were sat in the Don Rogers, it was a clear red all day long. But I did laugh how their keeper never got booked, considering all the time wasting that was going on. Yet one of their lads picked the ball up for a long throw, waited for their people to get in the box, and he got booked while he was waiting. So you can make some of this stuff up, but it was nice that the officials seemed to be on our side for a change.
Yeah, it was, madness, wasn't it? This is from Kirk. Ian Holloway's been a breath of fresh air since he came through the door, taking the team's shot of confidence and giving them confidence and will never say die attitude. My only worry for next season is him not given a proper budget to improve the team, Declan, which is what you were saying. Now, you flew over with a relative of one of the Swindon players. Is that right?
Yes, indeed. The pleasure. You can hear me? Yeah, we had the pleasure of the company. Yeah, with the pleasure of the company of an uncle of Gavin Kilkenny's on the flight on Saturday. We met in the airport. I didn't plan to meet in the airport. We just met in the airport. He saw the gear and, of course, was immediately attracted to it. And we had a very pleasant day in his company, and he thoroughly enjoyed his afternoon. Maybe not see Gavin being substituted, but the rest of it he certainly enjoyed all right. Yeah.
And what were your thoughts on it? I mean, crazy is one word, bonkers is another, madness is another, but magnificent is one I'd use because it's one of those games you'll remember for years to come.
Yeah, they say football is a drug, and it certainly is. And there was many different types of drugs in that performance on Saturday. The terrible defending in the first 10 minutes. What were we behind 3 times in the game? You go to 4-4, and I would gladly have taken 4-4 at that particular stage, but felt the energy in the ground and the supporters. And there's a tremendous connect between the supporters and the team this season since Ian has come in as manager. It's growing stronger by the week. We just need more people to come, but certainly going in the right direction. But just to breathe a heavy sigh of relief coming out of the county ground on Saturday afternoon was absolutely fabulous. And if I'm not mistaken, I think we've already surpassed our tally from last season. Which many would say wouldn't have been too hard to do, but considering where we were in December, it's been some mountain to climb, and we've climbed it really, really well. And with the opportunity, of course, over the next couple of weeks to pick up more points and maybe even finish top 10. Who knows?
Well, we could finish with 69 points, which seems ridiculous, bearing in mind what we were before Christmas. I've sort of summed it up as BH and AH this season, before Holloway and after Holloway. It's been like that, hasn't it? Right, let's have these comments coming in. The sending off changed the game. I think Bradford would have won easily, given our woeful defending. That second goal, have you ever seen a goal like that? Ball's headed against another player, ball drops to the foot of the goal scorer, in it goes. If they had 11 men. This is from Daz. Now, Swindon Town win against Bradford City on Saturday was their third ever Football League game with that scoreline. The previous 2 5-4 wins were both in 1922 against Charlton Athletic and Aberdare Athletic. Second time we've scored 5 goals in a game this season, Carlisle away, winning 5-1. At last, I accidentally came out of this, tried getting back in, and last week's edition kept coming up. Oh, right, okay. Mark Ruddle Shannon, like in Smith's interview after the game, he said he didn't even know what formation we were playing at the end. I think everybody knew what the heck was going on at the end, did we? We need to win again next Monday. Port Vale fans gloating again. Was my birthday on Saturday. It was the 21st birthday at Birmingham away. Not a bad day to have your birthday on. And this from Adrian. I took that team who plays in yellow fan to the game on Saturday in support of his efforts towards the 92 club. At 2-0 down, it looked grim, but the overall result made the day just fantastic. It certainly did. Right, let's have a look at the lineup on Saturday then. Ripley in goal, came back into place Jack Bycroft. Clark was substituted for Wesley on 46. Wright and Freckleton across the back. Cottrell Kilkenny, previously mentioned, he was substituted by Danny Butterworth. Nichols, he was replaced by George Cox on 75. Kirkman, replaced by Botin Amain after 28 minutes. We'll discuss that in a minute, Rob. I mean, that's got to be the most... I've just scored. What's going on? Glatzel, who was replaced by Offenbach on 76. Shimanga and Smith, now on 17 goals in total, 15 in the league. By the way, his next appearance in the EFL for Swindon will be his 50th. And 60th in all competitions for the town. That substitution, Rob, we all went, what? Poor old Kirkman, what's he done? He's just made the goal and then he gets dragged off. He looked completely dumbfounded, didn't he?
And understandably so. You can see, obviously, from the manager's perspective, you can see the bigger picture, which was that drive Halliday back into his right back position by sticking a winger out there, and he's not going to cause you half as much damage as he was causing us in the first 25 minutes. And obviously, Amin came on and had a real impact in the game, didn't he? So, hindsight being a wonderful thing, you look at the substitution and think that was inspired. If I was Billy Kirkman, having just scored my first goal in the county ground, I would be thinking, what on earth is going on here? But I'm sure they've had a conversation about it, and I'm sure it will be absolutely no reflection at all on him and his ability as a football player, and certainly not in that game. It was just needs must. Players been sent off. Let's get another attacking player on the pitch to try and get at them. And let's be honest, it was the first of Lord knows how many attacking players Ian Holloway put on, because none of us can explain that formation at the end. We've got Cox going down one wing, putting crosses in. We've got one at the back at some stages. No Bradford player anywhere near them. I think we had about 5 lined up across the penalty area at one stage. And the funniest thing being that the ball coming in for the winner, Smith standing about 5 yards offside. He's got all the time in the world to actually take a touch and get rid of it. And he shanks it in the bottom corner. Fantastic.
It was fabulous stuff. Had it gone the other way, of course, we'd all been moaning about how shambolic it was, wouldn't we?
Indeed.
Yeah. Goodness me. Hello, Claire. Good evening, all. What a difference a fans' reactions going behind in games since Holloway has given us belief can still get a result. They got behind the squad and were now the 12th man, despite Bradford fans believing the ref was. On the Don Rogers development, says Matt, this lot made dog's din of the club shop front, the Legends Lounge and the fan zone that never materialised. Zero faith in those nice drawings published will resemble what we got. Not to mention my suspicions around who will get the contracts to do the work. It's a no from me. Thanks, Matt, for your feedback. Neil, let's talk about the 12th man. And at the county ground, really, at the minute, I mean, you've got a lot to cheer about, let's be honest. But Holloway made a very big point that nobody moaned when we went 2-0 down. I'm not sure that's strictly true, because I did hear a few moans, but I think we were all moaning about the defending. But what's your view on the crowd at the minute?
I just wish there were more people there. I look back to 2-3 years ago, the kind of crowds that we get in. Okay, admittedly, we were pushing for the playoffs at the time. But the quality, maybe not the quality, but certainly the entertainment that we're now seeing at the county ground is just taking a step up a notch since Ian Holloway's arrived, and he deserves all the credit that's going to for what he's turned around. There's a lot of empty seats, and it's easy to lose people from football. It's a lot harder to get them back through the door. And I think the more kind of crazy games we have, like Saturday, they can only help, because it does make a difference. It must make a difference. It was great to hear the place rocking again, and that's not been the case for the last few years. But there's a lot of people staying away still. Just look at the average attendances. Okay, we're approaching the end of the season now, but it was a beautiful day, blue skies, nice and warm. It's just a shame that there weren't more people there. But those that were there will remember it, and I'm sure they made their contribution. It was great to see.
Liam, I think the thing is, it made your weekend, didn't it? I mean, I don't know about you, but, you know, that's what it's about, isn't it? Makes your weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Spot on. I thought it's half time. The formation looked like 2-2-6, didn't it?
Yeah.
When it came on. Yeah, I mean, it's great entertainment. And I think I was like Neil. I always thought we were going to come back, especially after the sending off. And even at 3-4 down, you just thought, we're going to equalise. It's about then, are we going to finish it off? I thought it was brilliant. And if you were neutral watching that on Sky, then it was an absolutely brilliant game to watch. The problem is, I wonder if that is what's affecting the numbers now, is that we've got a few more Swindon games now on Sky. And most people have Sky coverage one way or the other. So they're watching it, and I wonder, you know, it's a lot of money. It's 20 odd quid, and then by the time you've bought everything else, and then if you bring your kids and all those other things on top, it's a lot for people to commit. And I think you're absolutely right what you just said about it's difficult to bring people back, but it was great entertainment. It was fantastic. No doubt we're going to talk about next Monday, and there'll be some more entertainment, won't there? Because a rock and roll star's coming back.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. A certain Mr. McCurdy.
You know what's going to happen. We all know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But maybe he'll bring a few more numbers in, because he used to. I mean, when he came back on loan a couple of years ago, he brought some people back. Don't know if he'll do that wearing a Bromley shirt now, but we'll see, won't we? But I'm looking forward to it, like everybody else is, because we're Swindon until we die, aren't we?
Yeah, and I hope he gets a good reception.
I was going to just say something on
Yeah.
Harry Smith, if I can.
Yeah.
Two things. One, if any player is looking forward to the end of the season, it's got to be Harry Smith, because he's been pulled and dragged and kicked and every other type of physical intimidation you can have of a football player. We know he had his difficulties earlier in the season with discipline. It cost him a 3-game ban. Might have been a little bit lucky, perhaps, to stay on the pitch on Saturday, but he got away with it, and that. But he for me is the player of the season. A tremendous signing by whoever made it, and he's really proved his worth, as you say, with 17 goals so far this season.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking forward to Harry's return next Saturday. Hope he gets a decent reception. I'm sure he will, because people will remember, particularly the first spell that he had with us, and the enjoyment at that time as well.
Yeah, I hope he will get a good reception, because he was great for us. And let's be honest, the great lyrics of "Ooh, Harry McCurdy" will live with us a long time. Took ages to learn that, didn't it? Battered cod last week, stuffed chicken this week. Loving Holloway's STFC menu. Wonder what gets served up next. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. But talking of players of the season, Anna, Will Wright has played 48 games this season. I mean, he's about the most consistent player we've had. Would you not agree with that?
Yeah, I would. I mean, you've got to rank him alongside Harry Smith in terms of the minutes played and the impact they have on the side. And I think they no doubt they have an impact off the pitch as well. They're experienced players. They've been around. Wright captained Crawley, didn't he? Was it Crawley he captained to promotion last season?
Yeah.
So there's a good load of experience in there. But the thing I wanted to mention or go back to is Holloway, really, and Holloway's impact on the pitch or on the players is, as we can see, is massively significant. The change for the pre-Holloway to after Holloway, and the performance he's got out of the same players. And you know, we always say as football fans, don't we? Oh, our manager's got no plan A. Well, Holloway plans. It looks like he's got plans B, C, and D, most of which consist of chucking a load of forwards on and bamboozling the opposition with, and ourselves sometimes with what the hell the formation is. Who knows? But what he does do is he shifts the focus away from the defence. He gets balls put into the box, as I think you quoted the figures there of how many shots on target we had Saturday, and then must have been, I think it was something like 45 balls into the box as well, or something ridiculous. You know,
ridiculous. We had, by the way, we also had 11 corners, and they didn't have any.
Yeah,
which
you
is crazy.
absolutely play the percentages, don't you, with Holloway, and that really does get people supporting the side and passionate about the team again. And yeah, you can definitely see that connection being rebuilt with the players. The other observation I want to make around Holloway is, and I said this probably going back to, I suppose, the last manager we had in a similar sort of vein was Richie Wellens, that everything is revolving around Holloway. And that's not to his detriment or negative feedback on Holloway himself, but you've got to look at what is being built by him, and that's great. But what's the reserve plan? What's going on behind the scenes? What's the structure? Is there longevity in Holloway and his plans for the club, which he seems to have, doesn't he? He seems to be talking about long-term futures, his own, as well as pushing the club forward. He quoted, I think, was it Dick Mattick or somebody had given him the Lou Macari years, the book on Saturday.
No, it's Dave Wallace who's written the
Dave
Lou
Wallace,
Macari.
okay, I don't know who'd written that, but
That
yeah, there we go. So, there's real feeling in there from Holloway for this club, which is, fairly exceptional in a manager, because we know previous managers have always looked at this as a stepping stone. Appears at least not to be Holloway's way of thinking. So we're lucky to have him in our grasp at the moment. What may happen, as happened with Macari, is that success on the pitch has to propel success off it, because the regime has to move with the success on the pitch, and that's very much where you want to see things changing behind the scenes in support of the manager, where whether it be budget wise or in communication. And not just around when the club wants something from the fans, but as universal as transparency can be. But I mean, Holloway, what a kind of a magician, really, and what an inspiration he is to those players coming out to give them that belief that they can still come back at any point.
Well, you were there, Neil, at the sponsors dinner when he did his little monologue at the end, and I thought everybody was going to get up and salute, quite frankly. It was kind of,
or burst into tears, one or the other.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. I mean, it was amazing. I'm just going to get to Declan, because I know he's got to go in a minute, because you've got a football game kicking off in 5 minutes' time. So your final thoughts, got Grimsby Friday, Good Friday. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game up there, no doubt. But with the confidence that we've had over the last couple of weeks with the victories over Wimbledon and last Saturday as well, I think we can go there. I think we can get a result. It's a little bit of a pity in some respects we're not a little bit closer to them in the table, with some points that we've dropped. But as I say, considering where we were in December, you'd be quite happily going to Grimsby in the position that you're in on Saturday. On Friday, I should say. But hopefully we can go and get the result, and then welcome back the prodigal to the county ground on Monday.
Yeah, I think we're all looking forward to seeing him back. I think everybody should give him a round of applause, because he was fabulous. We all loved him, didn't we? Declan, off you go. You got what? Who have you got?
We've got Shamrock Rovers and Cork City, Vic, in the Premier Division of our league here, and just an interesting one there at saying to the guys there off air earlier on, Conor Brann, who you may remember from his brief spell at Swindon as a goalkeeper, is actually in the Cork City squad this evening, although he won't play.
Okay, fair enough. Well, enjoy. Thank you very much indeed. We'll see you soon.
Okay, see you Monday, guys.
All the best. Right. Neil, Grimsby away. I mean, obviously, we've had a couple of good wins up there. They're in the playoff hunt. They're in the promotion hunt. We've knocked a few off the promotion hunt. Walsall, Bradford City. We don't seem to care about reputations. What are your thoughts?
We seem to be performing better against these bigger teams who are still fighting for something. So maybe I'm too much of a glass half full character at the moment, but it wouldn't surprise me if we came away with a result. I mean, we got the wind in our sails. We've had 2 good results against 2 big clubs, or clubs that are certainly up there. The performance on Saturday, if we can stop leaking goals at the back, anything's possible. We just need to make sure we keep scoring the number of goals that we are. 61 against for the league so far this season. I think we've got to do something about that going into the new year, or into the new season, if we want to be at the right end at the end of it. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if we came away with a result on Friday, sorry.
Yeah, it's Friday. We must remember that. I mean, it's ingrained us on Saturday. Actually, it's a very good point about Sky, the fact, Rob, that a lot of kids play football on Saturday morning, don't they? And, it's a bit of a rush for parents who look after the kids playing football, and then they've got to get to the game at 12:30. So that must have an effect. So what are your thoughts on that? And then, of course, Grimsby on Friday.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, the 12:30 starts are horrid anyway for all of us, aren't they? Because if it's not on the hour, it throws our timings out completely, doesn't it? Forget the kids and all the problems they'll have to get to football matches. Try and work out the equivalent to a 12:30 start to a 3 o'clock is a nightmare for me. 2.5 hours, it becomes horrendous. But I know it's the same for everyone, and it's difficult. And this is the problem you get when you sell your soul to the devil, isn't it? Which is what we've done. You take the money. You take the risk, and that's what all football clubs have done. They've sold their soul to Sky TV, and Sky TV call all the shots now. And Bradford fans must have been crestfallen when they saw that game got moved to 12:30 in Swindon. And let's be honest, Sheffield United fans travelling to Plymouth, Sunderland fans travelling to West Brom. It happens all over the country, and it happens. It's silly times, stupid days, and it really is something that grates with me, but obviously there's nothing that we can do about it. It's something that's going to be in football, and we've just got to live with it, unfortunately. If we move on to Grimsby, if we battered the cod army and we've stuffed the chickens on Saturday, surely we've got to hammer the haddock on Friday, haven't we? There's no other way around it. So if I were a Grimsby coach, I think I'd have spent the whole of the last few days and the next couple just practicing long throws into our penalty area. That's all I'd be looking at for the rest of the week. But aside from that, we know we've got the scoring power to go up there and cause them a lot of problems. All the pressure's on them. There'll be no pressure on us. So just go up there and play like we did at Fleetwood, and look what we came away with there. So I've got every confidence, and I can't wait to see Mr. McCurdy back at the county ground. I just hope he's back to the fitness levels that he was at when he was in his first spell with us. because it was such a shame in that second spell that,
Yeah.
unfortunately for him, obviously with all the things he'd been through over that period whilst he'd been at Hibs, and obviously it had a real detrimental effect on his overall fitness level, and you could see he wasn't properly back there at that point in time. I hope we see a fit Harry McCurdy back against us, and I hope he has a great game. Just hope he
doesn't score.
Well, yeah, I don't mind if he scores the consolation in 6. That's fine.
Yeah, he came onto the sub, I think, on Saturday for Bromley. So he's in and around, and of course he got a couple of goals for them, hasn't he? 53 matches against Grimsby so far, won 25, drawn 10, lost 18. Biggest wins 5-0 at home, of course, on the 14th of Jan 23 and the 27th of the 2nd and 68 at home. The last one, you may well remember Charlie Austin's return to the county ground. That was included in that. Of course, Anna, we got the Ian Holloway effect on Friday as well, haven't we? Going back to Grimsby, so that's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, they're not big fans, are they?
No.
And that was his last tenure before his current one at the county ground. So I think they'll give him a bit of stick. I'm not sure whether
he'll love it though, won't he? He'll love it.
He'll probably try and restrain himself, I'm sure, to some extent. But yeah, that gives it a little bit more of an edge, doesn't it? And as you said, it is a shame we're not close in proximity to them points wise, but we should be able to go and give a good account of ourselves, shouldn't we? There's nothing to be afraid of. They can be confident. Let's hope not too confident. And if we go a goal down, it will just shove a load of attackers on at all positions, won't he? So yeah, it's kind of, these games now are a bit of a free hit, I suppose, really. Few players may be looking for contracts here and elsewhere, but yeah, there's nothing to be afraid of going up there. I don't think there's any worry on that score.
No, you'll just bring 5 forwards on. That's how he does it, isn't it? Sean says, "Hold on, Rob. What, you want a player to be at his best against us?"
If he scores the consolation in 6, I got no problem with that.
Yeah, no problem. Lots. Oh gosh, loads of comments. Thank you. No, they are not Ollie fans, Anna, says David. Sadly, people are staying away, says Nick. 2,000 to 3,000 down, and I don't think it's because of Sky. I've been a season ticket holder for a long time, and I'm not renewing next year due to the owner's consistent untruths, says Nick, and not knowing where the money is going, and it's not going on the ground maintenance, that's for sure. Thank you very much for your view, Nick. Liam, your view on Grimsby on Friday. Must keep in the head. Friday. So what's your view on it?
Well said, Rob, on the Sky bit. He's absolutely right, because we all love our 3 o'clock routines, don't we? They got George McEachran.
Yes.
He's been playing quite well for them as well.
Yeah.
Are we being real old traditionalists, aren't we? We're going to have fish on a Friday.
Oh, very good.
On Good Friday as well.
Yes.
I'm confident. I think we will. They'll be so tense. They'll be like Wimbledon. They'll be like Bradford to a certain extent towards the end of the game. There'll be a bit of panic going on because they'll be looking above. I think, isn't it? Who is Salford playing in the week? They're playing somebody, aren't they? Because they're fairly close behind Grimsby at the moment, aren't they? And Colchester are chasing as well. So they'll be nervous against us. So I feel fairly confident that something will happen. I've said that before and got it wrong. You might recall I said back in January, knowing our luck, we'll end up a point behind the playoffs.
It's not mathematically impossible, is it, to go actually in the playoffs at the minute? So,
Colchester would have to blow it, and Salford and Grimsby.
Yeah, I know. I'm 9 points out and got 12 points to play for. I'm just being, it's nice to even think about that, to be honest, isn't it?
But it's great, isn't it? I mean, we got just 2 games left, and then on to Mr. McCurdy. He can score a hat trick Monday, as long as we beat them 5-4.
Yeah. I think if you look at the players over the last 5 years, he's the one I think everybody took to their hearts, didn't they? And I always remember seeing him in Weymouth in the pre-season friendly and thinking, "What's that?" And it turned out to be Harry McCurdy.
I think what's interesting is everywhere else, when he used to play for us and he'd go back to Port Vale or he went back to Carlisle, they all hated him.
Yes, they did.
But he's coming back to us on Monday, and we'll, as long as he's not effective, we'll all love him.
Yeah, we will. Right, thank you all very much indeed. Neil, once again, just before we wrap up, just give us the... Oh, look, there he is, Mr. McCurdy. Yes.
The slide.
Very good. Yeah. He got in trouble for that at Carlisle, didn't he, the other day, that particular celebration. Just wrap up and give us an idea, once again, of the consultation process and where people are and what they should do.
Yeah, sure. So if you want to go along and see the architect in person and see his presentation to a group of people, there's 4 opportunities for that next week in the Legends Lounge, but you do need to reserve your place with the club first. Today's the start of a 3-week consultation period for the club to receive your feedback, send it to the trust. We'll consolidate it with everybody else's feedback, share all that. You can find our details on the website. If you've got any questions, send them to stadium@truststfc.com. Then we'll go into a period of feedback where the club will decide what they do next. They'll then propose a formal proposal to the joint venture board, and then we get into a trust membership vote. It's not too late. You can still join the trust. This is my advertising piece. Sorry, Vic. You can still join the trust to get your vote. It's not too late to become a member, but you will.
And win a signed shirt as well. Don't forget.
Yeah, the raffle for the 4 signed shirts. But you will only be able to vote if you're a trust member. So you still got a few weeks to get in there first. But if you don't say anything, then don't complain afterwards if it didn't go the way that you wanted to. Now's the time to have your say and to make your voice heard.
Yeah, I think that's in so many things in life, isn't it? If you don't actually vote or whatever it is, then what are you going to do? Thank you very much indeed, Daz, for that. And thank you very much indeed for loads of comments. We weren't able to get to them all. I'm really sorry about that, but we had loads. So thank you ever so much. And thanks to Mark for compiling them behind the scenes. And I've got a pile of washing, according to John, to take down in a minute behind me, which is most unfair. It takes me ages to do that, John. And I didn't stand outside like some people did last Monday and smoke a cigarette, which is hilarious. We all had a good laugh at that. And don't forget, at 9 o'clock, it's Fool's Rush In. And I think it features Kieran, who won the Apple race on Saturday and now calls himself the Apple race winner or something like that on X. So well done, Kieran. Very close. No skullduggery was involved at all.
Okay. Thank you very much to you all. Thank you. And I look forward to seeing some of you on Good Friday up at Sunny Grimsby. And we'll see you, of course, next week. Thank you very much.
Oh, no, hang on. No, we won't, because we've got Bromley on. So
of course. Yes, I do apologise. Yeah, we have a break. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Look forward to seeing you very shortly then. All the best.